It's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show coming up. It's Garage Talk amongst the boys. Well, three of us anyway. Mr. Mars is buried up in his computer over there. Conrad's going to have the In-Wheel Time Car Clinic, and I'll bring you this week's automotive news. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars. King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday. It's a 4th of July weekend, and we hope that yours is starting out the way that you actually wanted it to start off.
Better than ours is.
Well, better than Mars's is, that's for sure.
Well, it's just a minor glitch.
He's making progress.
Happen, yeah.
Is he making progress?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad.
It's
you
the
know who
heat.
he's talking to now? He's talking to David? Yeah.
I think he's talking to his broker.
His broker, yeah. Let's see. Oh, I know what I was looking for. There is a big event, and Conrad's going to have this, I think, in the rundown of all of the
Important things.
Upcoming racing.
Yeah, the racing stuff. There's the drag strip. There's June. There's July. Oval race. July 1st, tonight.
Dun, dun, dun.
Featuring a fireworks show and 8 race classes. Eco Stocks, Pro Modifieds, Pro Trucks.
Oh, that's cool.
At a Texas Motorsports Park.
Legacies, NASCARs, I love them.
Oh.
Legends. It's all going to be.
I like the legends.
I do too. Yeah, those are the ones with the little motorcycle engines in them that go about a bajillion miles an hour.
And there's NASCAR birthdays too. Landon Castle was born on the 7th of July.
Oh, we're not doing birthdays. We're talking about racing.
Well, that's Matt. These are racing guys. Matt Benedito, 27th, and Kyle Larson.
You just wanted to put your 2 cents in.
Yeah. And I missed June, and we missed May altogether. So there you go.
Birthdays.
June Cleaver. I miss June Cleaver too.
Yeah, Ward.
You know, there's a television station in town that does birthdays on their morning news. I'm going. You know, I remember that back in the 1960s radio. You've got to be kidding me.
It's fun.
It's terrible.
They just
is what
need
it
filler.
Is. I guess.
Exactly.
It's awful. Just awful.
Well, Channel 11 does it for the nighttime news because
I didn't say anything.
They celebrate another day on the air.
Generally, Angela and I are waiting for Wheel of Fortune, so we're watching the end of the news on Channel 11, and they do this birthday thing.
They do Zen.
Yeah,
they
Zen.
take a picture of the zoo and Zen.
Or the waterfall, the waterfall wall.
Somebody walking through the beach. Yeah.
Or Don flying over somewhere in Houston over a wreck. Chasing
wreck or mayhem.
Chasing
or
a Hellcat
murders
to winning.
and all of that stuff.
Do you have a busy week this week in the helicopter?
Oh, my God, you have no clue.
They get the air conditioning fixed and that thing?
One day this week I flew 5 hours. Sit in the back of a helicopter for 5 hours.
So you should bring Jeff's piece to your station and say, hey, you're exposing me to this.
The station has anything to do with that.
They could care less.
No, I wouldn't say that. But
I can.
They have no control over it.
They have no control over it. I work for a contractor. Helicopters Incorporated. So
big outfit.
They are.
Helicopters Incorporated, not helicopters air conditioned.
No, correctly. Yes, exactly. All right.
Okay.
So do you want to do the racing card now?
I forgot what we were doing.
I didn't.
The Australian Grand Prix sprints are this weekend.
Wait a minute.
Formula One.
The
Austrian Grand Prix sprints are this weekend.
Austrian Grand Prix sprints.
Right. So it's a couple of short sprint races
in the Alps
for points through
for Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
Are they drag racing Formula One cars?
No. It's a different format than a.
Is it a roundy round? Because when I think of sprint cars, I'm thinking of dirt track.
No, this is. It's actually it's actually the shortest track. The Austrian track where they run this, it's the shortest lap time in F1, and they just do they run short time sprints around it and earn points on it. So did you hear the latest that Hamilton is complaining to the FIA that they should do something to control Red Bull's dominance of F1 the last couple of years?
Comes around, Hey, he should put his purse down and quit complaining.
You whiny little hoo-ha.
Yeah.
it was okay when Mercedes dominated for 7 years, but oh gosh, Red Bull's dominating, so we got to stop that.
What kind of engine does Red Bull run?
Well, it was a Toyota at one point. Toyota? Yeah, a Toyota at one point. Now it's called a Red Bull, but it's the same.
The engine is called a Red Bull.
Right.
It's like Peugeot or something.
Are you serious? Mm-hmm. That's what they call?
Well, they bought all of the engineering rights to it, and the engineers all went to work for Red Bull, and it's a Red Bull.
You've got to be kidding me. An energy drink has turned into a racing engine program.
Well, you got to think the Mario Andretti or Michael Andretti's Cadillac team is thinking of leasing that engine for their cars.
Yep, thank them every day.
So
the Red Bull engine. So no Cadillac engine in a Cadillac.
No.
But
don't get me going.
I can't. I don't know.
And Mary Barra makes $29 million a year for what? The destruction of what was at one point the greatest
corporation. Okay, so what we got on the racing
America.
Calendar there today?
No, I don't want to continue this.
He's in the Mary Barra. He's going to go off.
IndyCar is at Mid-Ohio tomorrow.
Well, she needs to take her jock strap off. And never mind. Sorry.
Tomorrow night is Chicago. The streets of Chicago.
I'm going to watch that. I'm going to
watch that. Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
When is it? Tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Tomorrow night. Yeah.
Tomorrow night on the street.
Well, evening.
5 o'clock. It starts 5 o'clock Eastern time, so 4 o'clock our time. In the streets of Chicago.
I know. I think is cool. But apparently this is a big, big deal for Chicago.
Yeah, and they ran on the iRacing, the computerized version, and they had some laps they were doing. It's actually a pretty tight course. There's not going to be a lot of passing.
Well, there's not. It's going to be a lot of concrete.
Yeah, and they say the walls are really close. It's really thin.
Narrow.
Yeah, narrow.
Well, it's like a regular
So that should
street.
be a lot of fun. Well, it's the first time NASCAR has done street, city streets. Formula One has done city streets, since its inception, like Monaco. They're racing through the streets of Monaco. Well, this is racing
love that
through
race.
Yeah.
I love Monaco.
One of my favorites is Monaco.
Yeah.
Always has been.
Yeah.
Some of it because of the movie Grand Prix.
Yes.
But some of it just because the challenge of going that fast in those small little city streets.
In the tunnel.
Well, I know that somebody was going, well, what are they going to do? They're going to have to put security guards around all the race cars at night so they don't steal the tires and wheels off
I
of them?
imagine they already have. I imagine there's very tight security there.
I'd like to think so. Yeah, because this is a big deal, not only for NASCAR, but it's also a big deal for Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Well, Chicago is kind of, as are lots of the major metropolitan areas, are kind of losing a lot of their panache because of all the crime issues that are having, and their
how about that San
tourists.
Francisco? Isn't that great?
Oh, it's a sewer.
It is a sewer.
Best thing that happens to San Francisco is rain, because that's what washes all the feces and urine off,
All righty
off the
then.
streets.
Enjoy your breakfast out there.
It's awful. All right. So what else?
Well, that's it. And then Texas Modified Production. I believe they're running next weekend as well.
Texas Nostalgic.
Did you
Texas Nostalgic.
Yeah, did
drag
you
racing.
happen to look at their Facebook page?
Nope.
Do you want me to do that?
If you would, please.
Because you don't have a computer.
No, his is-
Mr. Mars is
Mars
stolen.
has my computer.
I thought that I had them on a
He's pointing again.
I thought I had them on a favorites, but Texas Modified.
Texas Nostalgic Modified.
Oh, sorry.
Productions?
And they are go on the clutch. There's no trans brakes, nothing. Everything's mechanical.
By the way,
Racing out of the 60s.
I went and saw Dale Holquist this week, and
How's he doing?
Great. He's doing great. We had a very interesting conversation about gassers, and there are some gassers on the NHRA circuit that he runs, 2 or 3 of them, and they've made room for them, and they're very popular, and they are very expensive. I'm fascinated by this mechanical thing that we've got going on.
He's got
over
3
here.
computers
He's got an
now.
adapter.
Oh my God, he's got 2 or 3 adapters.
And 3 computers.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like stacking a carburetor on top of a carburetor, isn't it?
He's got
let's see.
And that wire's
here.
not long enough.
he's got a tri-power going.
Yeah. Golly. Well, there's the in-wheel time thing.
Yeah.
It says here, July the 8th. Let's look. Texas Drag Racing Association. I can't really see it very well. I don't know where it is. It's event number 6, Extreme Raceway Park. Where is Extreme Raceway Park?
Ferris, Texas, which is, I guess that is suburbs.
That's south of Dallas?
Yeah, somewhere south of Dallas.
And what's it called? Extreme Raceway Park. Well, we're just going to look that up real quick, okay? And it ain't going to be real quick. Let me see if maybe they have a Facebook page, okay?
You just switch that one.
Anyhow,
there it is, Extreme Raceway Park in Ferris.
I think it's just north of Ennis, if I'm correct.
It is an 8th-mile drag racing facility located off of I-45 in Ferris, Texas. Okay.
Actually, I think you could see the track from I-45.
Really?
Yeah, right after you go north of Ennis.
Huh.
It's on the east side of the highway.
Well, I don't know who made the poster, but the poster doesn't give the date.
Uh-oh.
Coming up this weekend to XRP, Pro Extreme, Junior Drags, Extreme Junior, Extreme Index Motorcycle, American Drag Racing League. It's too confusing for me to do this on the air.
Yep.
It doesn't take much to get me confused anyway, so we just move on from that. But at any rate, if you want to go see the Gassers.
Texas Nostalgic Drag Racers.
Yeah.
Leave on the clutch. No electronic gearing, no fuel injection. Everything's carbureted.
At Dale Holquist's place, I will tell you that he had a gasser, and there was a 55 gasser. I didn't hear it run, but it is a blown
gorgeous
engine.
Straight axle.
I can just imagining.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, the front end sitting up on it.
Oh, yeah.
Red. And he was doing the interior in it. And it is really something to see. I'd love to see one of those on the street.
Oh, they probably put them on the street every now and then. I don't know that that's where they belong, but.
Well, no, they don't belong there, but how fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, pull up to the stoplight, and all of a sudden, next to you rolls up this 1955 red Chevy.
And you're looking up at it.
And is this ginormous chrome blower and all the chrome pieces.
Going to work, and the guy's in a suit.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right.
With a kid in the back seat.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it has slicks on it, but it does have one groove, so it can be legal.
Yeah, a little cheater slick.
Cheater slick.
A couple little dots in it.
Yeah, love those.
Did you have those on your Corvette?
I did not have those on my Corvette. No. I've never drag raced the Corvette. Well, I say that. Last year,
intentionally, you never drag raced.
Well, he did once when he was on the Texas.
Well, no, he's talking about the other Corvette. That Corvette.
Oh no.
Oh no, I never did.
No, that was his show.
Actually,
baby.
I did run it down Houston Raceway Park.
For those of you who can't see, there's a picture in front of us behind the camera of Don's Corvette, the 77.
The 77 Corvette.
Big
That's a Bill Seitz presentation there.
Good drawing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's really faded, really bad, but it was a watercolor that he did for me.
Nice.
And I showed that with the car. And it gave all of the
stats.
See, 77 coupe, 350 cubic inch L82, 4-speed, power steering and brakes, tilt telescopic steering, AC, leather, AM, FM stereo, Gymkhana suspension, front and rear spoilers that I put on there.
And it was an absolute slug.
It was, but I
couldn't get out of its own way.
And that's the car review for the Corvette this week.
That's right. Well, I think it had like 182 horsepower or something out of all the cubic inches. Pathetic. But hey, back in the day, it's all
that was before Mary Barra screwed up GM.
Here we go.
Right. Yeah, that was the United States government that did that. Yeah, EPA regulations.
Smog controls.
Let's see. Well, what do I want to do here? You want to do the car clinic?
Sure.
I got it all ready to go.
Okay, well, let's do the car clinic. Conrad's car clinic. What are we doing today? I gave Conrad the charge of going a little bit deeper into the car clinic. And let's talk about, engine modifications, how parts of the engine work, and that sort of thing.
So last week we did exhaust systems, and remember I talked about how basically an engine is an air pump.
Yes.
And as an air pump, it's how much air can you get in, how much air can you get out, and how loud the bang can be between getting in and getting out, which is what creates the power. So last week we talked about intake or exhaust manifolds. This week we're going to talk about intake manifolds. So this intake manifold is off a Ford Model T. Even Henry Ford back in the teens understood airflow in the engine, so he tried to keep it from having real sharp bends and turns to create the most power it could. Now, that was for a 4-cylinder. It just had 2 ports went into the cylinder head, and then inside the cylinder head, it moved to the individual cylinders. So very simple. That was actually cast iron in its day. So very simple. The
what is this one here?
That is a 2-barrel intake manifold for a flathead. Most flatheads came with a single 2-barrel.
Yep.
Well, the modifiers, they wanted to jump up to 2 barrels, because way back when it first came out, 4 barrels didn't necessarily exist in any volume. So they would just put 2 barrels on it and then move to 3 2-barrels and then 4 barrels.
What time frame was this in?
This was probably back in the 30s. This intake manifold was designed for a 36, 37, 38
I was just
Ford,
going to say 38, yeah.
Wow.
Ford flathead. And then, of course, everybody remembers the small block Chevy intake manifold, and the small block Chevy intake manifold, very common. Now, this happens to be an Edelbrock version of a small block Chevy, but
I want you briefly. Would you talk about the plenum and the divider between the two? Because some people have things about the divider, and some that grind out a little bit, or some of them don't have any.
Yeah, so what it's trying to do is control the airflow to each side of the engine, the divider is, so that, you're getting the fuel isn't mixing, because as the airflow isn't mixing, because as each valve opens up, it creates a rush of air, and that rush of air is what draws the fuel out of the carburetor. So they want to keep that as metered as possible. Carburetors, it's a lot harder to meter than it is on fuel injection systems. But if you look at this, it's relatively low, relatively flat. My opinion is it has some real sharp bends in it. And those sharp bends...
You talk about the orifice, the opening?
For the air.
Right.
No, the opening there, that's right underneath that's right underneath the carburetor. The runners that you see that go from the opening over to the cylinders, those are kind of short and squatty and kind of have some sharp bends, which aren't good for power and high RPMs, but they do the things that the engineers wanted, which was a little bit more about torque. They wanted that feeling of torque in that engine. So,
but I'm still questioning that you've got the upper on the shot. You've got the upper that's more rounded on the top versus the oval on the bottom side of it. The openings are different,
and that's because the bottom one, the air has to travel further to the bottom to get to the other intake runners. So again, it's the engineers trying to design the airflow to be even on both sides. And control the temperature of the intake manifold as well, because a lot of these intake manifolds would have a heat crossover right underneath the carburetor, because the intention of the carburetor is to produce atomized air that's drawn into the cylinders. Well, if the air isn't atomized because it's cold, then the engine doesn't run properly, so they run heat crossovers underneath them. So the next thing is and this was a kind of a street version of what's called a torquer intake manifold. So here you can see that the carburetor's higher up in the air, which goes back to what Don was talking about, how now it doesn't fit under the hood. The intake runners are all about the same length, and they're much straighter. All of those sharp bends are gone. And again, that's to create more power at higher RPMs. Very common back in the 60s to put what I called a torquer intake manifold. Didn't matter if it was a small block Chevy, Oldsmobile, Ford, whoever it was. The torquer manifold was the one of choice in its day. And then, then we'd go drag racing, and drag racing gets even more extreme because they want to create even more power. So they created something called the tunnel ram.
Yeah.
So now you can see the intake runners are extremely straight and very long, and that length of that intake runner is tuned in to create a certain amount of power. Now this has 2 4-barrels on it. You could replace that upper plenum piece to a single 4-barrel or 3 2-barrels, whatever you wanted to do. You just had to pay the price for that. very, very common at the drag races for a tunnel ram intake manifold. So the manufacturers were like, well, heck, I can do that. So they had built, this is a cross ram intake, 2 4-barrel cross ram that came on the 69 Z28. It was available on a 69 Z28 with the DZ302 motor in it. That's a lot of carburetor for that engine.
Yeah, too much.
Big old ports.
But again, the intent is to shorten the runners down to get the fuel into the engine
immediately
and create a lot of fuel availability for the engine. Very rare piece of metal right there. Very expensive
on eBay
to find and buy. Yeah, I found that picture on eBay. And then, Chevrolet wasn't the only one. The original cross ram intake manifolds were provided by Mopar on the old wedge engines, the 413 and 426 wedge.
You
not
can
the
look
Hemis,
at that
but the
and
wedge.
think wedge. That's what I think of.
And John Hovis, happy birthday, John. He's got one of those cross ram intakes on a Dodge Polara. I think there's a red one out there that he has that has an original cross ram intake on it. Pretty cool, very, very cool car. And then, of course, that wasn't the only place they did it. They also did it on the Hemi. So Hemis generally were 2 4-barrel car engines. So the 2 4-barrels on the Hemis were, they offered them in a cross-ram version as well.
That's the one that I remember.
Yeah, well, I think the next one's the one you're going to remember because they were inline. These are cross-ram. Then the Hemi was actually 2 4-barrels that were inline. Pretty. Well, I guess that one didn't show up. Either way, so now as technology advances, now they do these molded composite intake manifolds. You can still see how long those runners are and how straight those runners are. But now, that's an intake manifold off an LS3 Chevy. And then the hot rod version of the tunnel ram that you see on some of the hot rod LS engines. Here, again, going back to the tunnel ram. Now, in Don's honor, remember, we hear his story about his Blue Flame 6, and it had a single 2-barrel on it. So this would have been the intake manifold on a Blue Flame 6. And you look at that, and you're like, oh, my gosh, how far did it have to go to get to the outside cylinders? And they generally ran very lean.
There's my Offenhauser.
And then there's an Offenhauser that Don talks about that he put on his. And now you have 2 2-barrel carburetors that were actually closer to the cylinders, and that's why it created so much more power.
And all I did was I went out and bought another Rochester carburetor, which is what it originally came with. And I put 2 of them on there, clearly the original one and the new one.
And it took that much more fuel, and fuel was atomized closer and created more power. So it probably made a big
Along
difference.
with the high-low guy said, well, you want a 3/4 race cam or a full race cam? I said, give me the 3/4 race cam.
Because you didn't have 4 quarters.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I put a new cam in that thing, and it eloped like a mule. And that's in honor of Mr. Mars over there.
Hauling donkey. Monty the donkey.
And then I put a Mallory dual-point distributor in it.
Oh, you made a lot of work out of that.
I did. And I will tell you that was hell to tune.
It was still a dog.
It was a stump puller.
It was a stump puller. It pulled the front wheels off the ground.
And you think manufacturers have gone full range from single carburetors to 2 barrels to 4 barrels to 3 2-barrels to 2 4-barrels. There was actually a series of 3-barrel carburetors that were out there at one point as well. So that's
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, we'll talk carburetors next week.
The secondary was a big long thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of an odd shaped looking thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, how fun was that?
It was good.
That was good.
Good stuff.
Good.
That's why I had to make sure I put your Blue Flame 6-cylinder intake manifold
Blue
in there.
Flame.
Mr. Mars, how are we coming over there?
How you doing, Michael?
Not coming at all?
We're working on it.
You're working on it.
Working on it.
So we got some more recalls to tell you about.
They're never ending.
Mazda CX-90 for 2024. Loss of vehicle control.
What?
They don't give specifics. That's all it says. Oh, my God. Okay, that's not scary. Unintended vehicle movement from a brake fluid leak on the Acura Integra, RDX, Accord, and Civic for 2022 and 2023. Toyota Camry and Camry Hybrid for 23. Wheels may detach from loose lug nuts. Go out there and check your lug nuts.
There you go.
I know you do frequently.
Often.
Can you check mine?
Defective pyrotechnic battery disconnect on the Tesla Model 3 and the Tesla Model Y for 2023. I did not know.
Pyrotechnic battery disconnect. So I guess, and I'm just kind of reading into this, if the vehicle's in a certain kind of wreck
or condition,
they want the batteries to disconnect.
Yeah.
So that
it may already be on fire.
Yeah.
So how else would you disconnect it other than blow it off?
With pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
But you think there's a lot of pyrotechnics in cars already. You know, there's pyrotechnics in the driver's side and passenger airbag. There's pyrotechnics in the pre-tensioning seatbelt systems. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that blow up when you have a wreck.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's soothing. Rear view camera image may not display on the Volkswagen ID4. Deformation of the strut mount in the Volkswagen Golf R and GTI for 2023. Uh-oh. That's not good.
No.
I'd wear some tires out.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
My strut mount bent.
Yeah. How about the engineer on that project? Sir, your strut mount, the engineer thing that you did on that, you're fired.
You're gone. How do you fix that?
You don't.
You'd have to build some kind of, but if you're deforming the strut tower.
Well, it depends. Is the strut tower... It's not.
Is it engineered to do what it's supposed to do?
Right.
I can only imagine that's not formed into it. It's probably a riveted on piece.
Oh, yeah. Spot welded on.
Yeah, something. One of those kind of things. Yeah. All right.
Oops.
Oopsie.
Another oops. Yeah.
And Mary Barra still makes $29 million.
Okay. Hey, you're on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after this. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In-Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.